I'm an independent journalist, and my content is not for either side. My content is for the country and for humanity. And my content is not meant to make you feel comfortable. My the news I'm giving out, the reports, the cultural criticism is not here to pet you. There's enough of that on YouTube. If you want that, go on that channel. I'm not her. I don't even know where to start with this, but I'm just going to be as candid as I can, and give my thoughts on what's going on right now and what I believe is going on right now, in regards to the US Capitol invasion and then the added addition of division that's happening in the US. And I don't think there's much of a need for me to give backstory on what's going on, go into news stories and stuff like that. Like everyone kind of gets the gist of what happened. But as someone that is like on the outskirts, as someone that's looking at what's happening without an affiliation to the left or the right, I'm seeing so much hypocrisy, contradictions on both sides, and I just feel the need to make this video. I have been pretty vocal about the Portland riots, and I, denounced those. And on social media, I denounced those as they were happening and said that this is going to backfire on the communities that these activists are supposedly trying to help. And it's going to backfire on the whole national Black Lives Matter movement, which I believe started off as something very positive and with one mission. And I think all of these other players like Antifa and things of that nature have tainted what's going on with that. But I've been very honest with denouncing those happenings and had no problem doing it. And right now, with the US Capitol being invaded by a mob of Americans and seeing people literally making every excuse so that that group does not have to take accountability for what they did, and that they were provoked, and that they were and that they almost had no choice but to stand up for themselves in some type of way because they've been called racist or deplorable or fascist and things of that nature over the course of the years that Trump has been in the public eye and that they've been supporting him. The fact that people cannot look at that behavior where 5 people died, where the US Capitol floor was breached, where men and women were sitting at the chair where the vice president sits and destroying the Senate and destroying the offices of senates, and saying that they came there willing to risk their life and die because they believed that there was some type of election fraud. The fact that people cannot objectively look at that behavior and denounce it is beyond. It's beyond because I hope people would prove me wrong, but this behavior is honestly not really that shocking. And you cannot call yourself someone that's objectively thinking, critical thinker, and all this, want to be an intellect and be like above, what's going on and act like you're some enlightened person. If you're really going to sit there and say, A, that was American, B, that was patriotic, or C, those people were hounded into, or those people were pressed to do that because they had their feelings hurt over the course of how many years. The fact that that behavior is justifiable in your eye shows how partisan you are and shows how you need to reflect on why you are excusing that behavior and not calling it what it is. And you know, if that was any other group, if that was the left doing that, there would have been so many tweets, so many posts, so many statuses about mow them down, burn the building down, shoot them, back the blue, Blue Lives Matter. All of this would have came out. But when these men and women were pushing the police, using their weapons against the police, intimidating the police to let them in, pushing the police, knocking them down, kicking them, putting them in harm's way, and no one said back the blue. I didn't see anyone hashtagging Blue Lives Matter. Didn't see that narrative at all. Showed its hand on what that actual language is for and why it's weaponized against certain circumstances that involve people that don't look like those Trump supporters. What they did was not only wrong, it was illegal, and they all deserve to go to prison. Period. If anyone did that, they deserve to go to prison. Period. And the fact that people are making excuses for it is like, how do you expect us to ever have, how do you expect us to have like a baseline level of a discussion, just a baseline, like, let's just talk, if people can't even own up to, you know what, that was wrong. No, of course, there's people that's come out and they have denounced them that have voted for Trump. I believe there's a difference between people that voted for a Republican Party candidate and people are Trump supporters, and I'll get into that later. And yes, I will get into the whole left thing as well, so stay tuned. I'll begin into that. Right now I'm talking about the US Capitol invasion, okay? So, and the thing is when I looked at the videos and I looked at those men and women and I looked at that man in Nancy Pelosi's office and I read the articles about him talking about that he is a white nationalist and that he went there ready to die because he believed the election was rigged, that it was taken from Trump. And then all of those people in there who really believed Trump and love this man and feel like that's their guy and were willing to risk their lives for him was so sad. It was so sad to see. And I know I'll get flack for like having some type of empathy. And I don't know if it's empathy. I can't say it's empathy because I'm really disgusted by the behavior. But on a human level, it is very sad. And I can only come to this solution that these men and women were find some type of hope in Trump and find their voice in Trump. And I believe that they have been on the fringes, on the outskirts for years, for decades, perhaps, that US candidates running for office have not come to their states or cities and have not tried to talk to them because they feel like their vote isn't enough to win, so why talk to them? But Trump had a strategist that showed him a map and said, if you talk to these people that's never been talked to, you could probably galvanize a following and get votes that no one really cares about, but these votes actually might help you win. And that's what happened. And I just have to be frank, and this is going to be some tough love, but as someone I'm an independent American, as in, I seriously have not affiliated with a party since I was 25, 24, and I'm 31, because I just don't believe either party. But And I also believe more so now that I am an active journalist. I feel like I can't. Like I feel like I have to be an independent, so I'm not biased and subconsciously doing PR for a side. But and yes, this is tough love right here. Because this is just on a human to human level. It has, I mean, not like you haven't heard it before, but you probably heard it from people that have some dog in the fight. I don't have a dog in the fight, don't have a puppy, don't have a cat in the fight. On an objective level, Trump has manipulated his supporters. And I'm not talking about people that voted for a Republican candidate. Like there could be there's manipulation there. I'm talking about the people who would risk their life for this man who has done nothing for you. Yes, he's done some policies and some, things for small businesses and stuff like that. Baseline things for America and Americans. But the fact that you'll risk your life for him is more than those little things that he's done, or big things to you, but it's more than that. It's the fact that he validates you. He says he sees you. When he was giving that press conference after the invasion or during the invasion and saying, I know I'm just as mad as you, but I love you, you're special. Those words, he knows what to say. Because you can't get people to do something like that for you if they don't feel loved by you. And he projects this type of love, like I'm the one that sees you guys. I'm the one that doesn't belittle you guys. I'm the one that takes you seriously. I'm the one here in this White House when I'm representing your voice that's never been heard. And not only that, but look at what I'm creating for you. I'm creating this community for you that you're not alone, that you don't have to feel isolated in your identity, that you don't have to feel like you're racist or that you're this or that. Like there's freedom over here. Like you get to be who you want to be. Everyone loves you. You can be prideful in your white identity. And he's given people, these types of people, something they've never had, which is to not feel ashamed about, I guess, being white, and to have a sense of community within that context. And not only just a community, but feel like there's millions of people. Like these people feel seen, noticed, validated, and like, wow, there's more people like me, and wow, there's millions of people that I can call on. And it's sad because Trump, this is honest, Trump does not care about you. If Trump cared about you, he would never want you to risk your life, risk being a father, risk being a husband, brother, sister, mother, daughter, cousin, friend. He would not want you to risk that, because even if he did believe there was voter fraud, if someone loves you, they wouldn't want you to put your family or yourself in harm's way. He didn't care if those men died and left their families to struggle on their own. He didn't care if those moms died and then, where's mommy at? Oh, mommy's dead, because she was fighting for a president that made her believe that if I lose, it's voter fraud, and amped you up and poured gasoline on your anger so that you would go into a Capitol and risk your life, commit a crime in the name of Trump. And if you're going to call this act patriotism and that this is America, that was the highest level of cult worship I've ever seen. These men and women were pulling the American flag out from poles inside the US Capitol and flying the Confederate flag and Trump flags. How is that American? How is it American? How is that patriotism? It's treason. And if you can't call it what it is, you need to do some self-reflection on the fact that you okay that. I'll get back to the right, Now I'm going to talk about the left. The reason why, I have to calm down. The reason why the right is, I will say, oh no, I'm not going to say that. So tabling that for a second, I'm going to get back to the right. But now I want to talk about the left. Because the left, you're not innocent in this. Now, I'm not saying the left made these people go in there and do this, but you can only call people racist and deplorable, ignorant, stupid, all these different types of names for so long before someone snaps. Let's just be real. And also the frustration being built up when they see, statues and other historical monuments that, yes, were monuments of people who owned slaves, and yes, were monuments of people who are problematic within, the centuries of our American history. But to these people, that's American statues, that's American history, that's their history, they feel, and you're destroying who they are. You're destroying what the country is. That's what they see. So on top of that, they see a whole movement that backs it. They see, I guess, a political party that doesn't necessarily stop it. They see that the only person, I guess, stopping things is Trump when he sends in the National Guard. But they do see time in and time again riots happening, and I guess people glorifying it, or there's not much of a consequence, even though there were people died. There's people dying then too. But more focus on the rhetoric and more focus on the words they were casting over on that side did put some sparks over there that made their hate grow. I'll say that. And I do believe there were supporters on the right who were not as extreme as what we saw, but I do believe that some of them were pushed to that, well, I don't want to say push because that takes responsibility off them, but they maybe they felt pushed, they felt backed into a corner. Just like how the left is frustrated when they're called fascists, or they're frustrated when they're called snowflakes, and all the other words that the right spills at them, that makes them so aggravated that when it does come to these counter protests with Trump supporters and, BLM and Antifa, of course, there's going to be literal fights. There's going to be bloodbaths. There's going to be violence, of course. And it doesn't excuse the behavior at all of the mob that went into Capitol Hill. But online, I was looking around. I was looking at comments and just looking at people's conversations. And of course, I made my own posts and commented on mine and was having conversations with people. But I really wanted to look at people who were validating or excusing what was happening and their reasons why. And of course, there's people that were doing the whole same. It's because of the Marxist communists, so like that. But then there's people that were like, I read this comment on one of my YouTube posts I made, which I thought was kind of a solid point. And I don't know if this man was like a Trump supporter, but I think I don't know if this man was a Trump supporter, but he was saying, could it be that these people were just pushed too far, that these people felt frustrated for years, and that they really do believe Trump to have been taken advantage of, and on top of that, they feel like they've never fit in to America, or there's no space for them here, or no one wants them here, or people look down at them like they're ignorant, or people don't take them seriously and everything like that. And could this just be, the breaking point? Could this just be the inevitable happening? That, of course, this was going to happen if Trump lost. Because not only did he lose, they lost. And if he's not in power, then are they in power? And I started to think, like, Trump is their voice. And I think it's more to them than thinking that the election's rigged. I really think they're like, we only had 4 years of representation in this country. We want more. 4 more years of our voice in that White House that's never been. 4 more years of our man sticking up for us. And if something goes wrong, of course they're attacking them, because they attack us too. Of course they're trying to take that away from them, because they're trying to take our spot away too. So by any means necessary, sorry I'm quoting Malcolm X in this is ironic, we are going to fight for him because he fights for us. And we'll do anything for him because he'll do anything for us. That is what they believe. That's what I had to really, like, what do they think, though? Not on a level like, oh, like what people are saying, oh, they're stupid and ignorant. Okay, where does that get us in the conversation? Go deep. What really is it? And it isn't easy to go when you really are so 100% opposed to the behaviors. It's hard to even try to empathize. But the only way our division, and it's never, I don't think we'll ever be like unified, because that would be a perfection that doesn't exist. But for us not to be like this and just to get a little closer with just a respect level, at least, you have to look at people like humans. And it's the most cliche, and it might make even people like ill to hear that being said by someone. Like, okay, that's easier said than done. Of course it is. Very easier than said than done. Very much. If you guys really, this is the whole thing that people, if there was a Venn diagram of the far right and the far left, inside there would be so many similarities, because they say the same things in 2 different ways. They have the same feelings, just they're polarized. And one person commented to me, and it was a civil conversation, so I wasn't like, it wasn't nothing combative. This person calmly was saying to me, and they were a Trump supporter, and they said, we've been called, like the other man's sentiments, stupid, deplorable, racist, fascist, all those words, for over a good 5-6 years, especially since he's been in office. And he was like, could you imagine this type of ridicule day in and day out for that long, for 5 or 6 years? I can say for me, yes. And this is not identity politics, because I have brown skin. So this is a fact. I have been through racist ordeals. I've talked about it on this channel. I've had someone literally draw me being lynched. I've had white supremacists dox me. And then on just without a group level of white supremacy, I've had people just call me the N-word. At least I've been called the N-word at least 50 times in my life. It was probably like maybe 5 or 10, but after I did Black Lives Matter, skyrocketed those 2 years. Probably been called it more than that, but I just didn't really pay attention to it too much. You can't consume that hate. But that doesn't make me hate white people. It doesn't even make me hate. I'm not going to give that power over to no one, because I'm mature enough to know that those 50 people who said those words to me don't represent the other hundreds of millions of people who look like them. But the thing on the right is, you would say that to someone like me? How, could you imagine being ridiculed for, I've been in this skin for 31 years and I've been ridiculed for no reason because I'm brown. And the thing is I can't take this skin off, but they can take their hat off. They can take their MAGA shirt off. No one will ever know they're a Trump supporter unless they say it, unless they post it, unless they wear it. Me, I can never take the skin off. Okay? And that type of energy of how the left, some people, and I'm not talking about the left who just like to fight and just like to be violent for no reason. I'm talking about the people who really are going through stuff. And you guys can, everyone's like, oh, racism, like, and yes, I've even said racism cannot be eradicated, but doesn't mean you have to put up with it. Racism, of course, cannot be, mandated out of people's hearts. But if someone is trying to take away certain liberties or like affect your livelihood or your life, of course you stand up. And of course people should stand up near you, with you, so that doesn't happen. Yes. But will racism always be here? Unfortunately, yes. But that type of passion that people, liberal people or people that are on the left, not the far, far, far left, but just on the left, who are really just trying to get certain policies or bills passed on the local level or on a national level where they see fit, that would just help keep racism out of their way when it comes to just finance, getting a house, wealth, school, education, professions. Of course, you can't make someone love you or like you, but there are certain areas that can be fixed. And these people, when they say Black Lives Matter, a lot of people are saying it for different reasons, but there's a frustration there. They're frustrated because they see that they have been held back and marginalized. But people want to say, well, you know what, racism is a thing, systematic racism isn't a thing, blah, 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 blah. So you'll say that to them, but want everyone to believe in an election fraud that there's no evidence of. There's evidence of white supremacy. Whether there, if like American slavery happened, voter fraud is not real, okay? It's not real. There is no evidence of it. Trump even was on video talking about that he needed ballots for Georgia. He needed to find ballots so he can win. He's always trying to find ballots. He's always getting caught, and then he makes excuses for it, and then his followers believe him. You guys have to understand how he's manipulating your mind. He's manipulating your heart and your emotions. You don't think that he has someone over there doing some strategies and who know what he needs to say to keep his base, so he can stand on you and manipulate you? So he can have you go into the US Capitol and do the thing he won't do because he doesn't want to go to jail? So that he could even threaten the vice president that he had as his running mate and his right-hand man, Mike Pence, and basically blamed him losing on Mike. And then last night on Twitter, the hashtag Hang Mike Pence was trending, and it wasn't the left, it was the right. It was Trump supporters blaming Pence for the election because Trump said so. Because Trump said it's his fault. Almost could have got him killed. I mean, they had a noose at the Capitol. Do you guys not get what's happening to you? Do you not understand? And I'm not trying to be patronizing or condescending. And you might even be thrown because I'm Black and I'm telling you this. You might not even accept it because I'm brown. Because you think, oh, she has an agenda. She's not white. Well, yeah, I'm not white. But I'm also I have no reason to get you from not being a Republican, because I'm not Democrat. I don't really care who you vote for, to be honest. You vote for who you want. This is America. But for me, I have no dog in this fight. I'm telling you, as someone that's just objectively observing both sides are being manipulated. But I'm focusing right now on what happened this week. And these supporters and these people who risk their lives are being manipulated. That was worship for Trump. That was cult behavior. He is your cult leader. He doesn't care about you. He does not love you. He does not think you're special. If he did, he would never want you to do that. He would want you to have some dignity and pride and integrity as an American, and to be the examples for the people in your community, be the examples for your sons and daughters. He does not care about you. He is selfish. Trump is dealing with I think Trump has his own issues. And that's real groundbreaking and profound. But I mean it in a real way. I think Trump utilizes and manipulates his base and has all these rallies because Trump's empty. I'm not saying nothing that no one's ever said before. So I'm not like, wow, I'm really like, but I believe Trump needs you too, but in a selfish way. Like Trump needs your love and feel validated in his own way, but he's just using you for his own gain. He does not care about you. And I think people are so enticed with him because they're just searching for someone to love them and to say that I see you. And if you're religious, and I saw a lot of people, and I saw, not a lot, I'm not gonna say a lot. I think I saw 1 or 2 flags in the whole chaos on Capitol Hill of people. It was like Trump, and then I saw it's a Trump 2020, and then it had like Jesus, and like, I was just like, this is a contradiction in itself, but but and this isn't Sunday, this is Saturday, this might come out on Sunday, but the only person who really can fill up that hole that you're trying to get Trump to do is God. If you really believe in Jesus, he's the only one that can do that for you. He's the only one that has done it for me. Trust me, I've tried everything. I was, I'd say at 24 is when I really started to have a real relationship with God. And it's completely transformed my life and transformed my attitude and transformed how I look at myself. And I have a confidence in myself that's tethered to God. It's not tethered to this world. It's not tethered to a party. It's not tethered to my identity, how I look, to my degrees. It's tethered to God. That's why I feel like it is easier to be an independent, because the only person that I'm going to PR for is the big guy upstairs. And this is not like I'm some enlightened person. I'm not. I'm not trying to be some whatever, but I can see through BS because I'm like, you're trying to get at something that the Lord's occupied. Like, you can't get at my heart because that's not for you. And I feel bad for people because I think it's really an identity crisis and an identity politics that took them to that Capitol. And identity politics that takes the left and has them destroy things to be heard. That I think it is so cliche to say, and I can't believe I'm the person saying this, but like, people are looking for love and validation, and they're finding it in the worst places, in the worst ways. And they're finding the validation in communities where the only thing they have in common with the people is hate. That we hate the left and we hate the right, but we're unified in our hate. Like, is that really conducive to the conversation? Or does that help you at night when you go to bed? Like, I'm so glad me and my friends, we hate everyone. Like, does that help you? But those people who marched on Capitol Hill that day really believe the election was rigged, obviously. And to go deep and deep and deep, they believe it because they love this man and because they feel like this man loves them. And they're craving for more of him, and they need him to be in office for 4 more years, because it's 4 more years of being seen and not being silenced. That they feel like after the 8 years, if he was in office, that they would be pushed on the outskirts again, on the fringes, and never to be seen, or never to be taken seriously, or never to be counted into the conversation again, because the next Republican candidate is going to not want you or need you. You're marked. But if we get our guy for 4 more years, though, and if he can convince you, we could have had 4 years, but the left took it. Joe Biden took it. Kamala Harris took it. If you are someone that, if you're a Christian, you're on the right, you're a Trump supporter, you need to really look in your faith for all the things that you have tied down and tethered Trump to fix and fill, because he won't fix it and fill. He can't. He's a man. Cannot put your faith in men. God is the only one that will fulfill that hole, whatever it is. And it probably has nothing to do with politics. Probably has nothing to do with politics. Probably has nothing to do with Republican principles or standing for your political party. Like that whole, I think that's a mask. But deep down, you're looking for something deeper. I don't know your background or anything. You're probably looking for someone to say you're special, you're loved. Well, guess what? That's in the Bible. God said you're wonderfully made in his image and that he loves you. And Trump's over here trying to say it to you, so you do what he says. Would you ever want someone to do something like that if you loved them? Would you ever have someone raid someone's home? Let's just say you don't like this person. This person did something to you. Would you ever want someone you love to go and put their life on the line and raid their home for vengeance for you? No. Because you care about them more than revenge. Trump is looking for revenge, and he's using you to get it. Because he believes that I'm sorry, and this is what he thinks you are ignorant enough to do what he says, and that he knows little words to puppeteer your mind. And then on the left, there's different types of puppeteering going on to make them do what they're doing. And this is why in that video I said both sides are wrong. And there's flack I was getting now. Of course, I get flack. But people are like, no, both sides are right, not wrong. I think people now might get what I'm saying when I say both sides are wrong. Both sides are wrong. Because both sides think that they're right. And clearly nothing is going good for either side. Nothing's working for either side. If both sides were right, then everything would be right. And if I specifically wasn't like, well, they're right and they're wrong, or they're right and they're wrong. No, both sides are wrong. Period. And this rant has gone on longer than I wanted, and I just want to give a few of my thoughts. This is off the cuff. Don't have a script. I actually was writing a script, but then I realized, you know what? I don't want to be what was going to come out to be, cut down, because I'm trying to hit certain talking points. I didn't want that. I'm like, I'll edit it later, just say it. And I'm saying it. And I don't know if I'll do another video going into what happened. I'm definitely going to make more content about the hypocrisies I'm seeing on the left and the right. And like I said, I'm an independent journalist, and my content is not for either side. My content is for the country and for humanity. And my content is not meant to make you feel comfortable. The news I'm giving out, the reports, the cultural criticism is not here to pet you. There's enough of that on YouTube. You want that, go on that channel. I'm not her. I'm not here to stroke your ego. I'm not here to make you feel like, no. If you feel like that, then from what I'm saying, then fine. That's whatever. But my intent is not to get clout. My intent is not to get 1 million followers on lies. My intent is to cut through the bull crap that's happening in this country and say the truth. And no, I'm not the beacon of truth. I could get things wrong, and I have no problem with saying I've misstepped. I overlooked a detail. I have this. But as someone who takes journalism dead seriously, as someone who takes journalism seriously, and who really believes that at the end of the day, because I've lived in this world for 31 years and I've done the opposite of trying to understand this other side that I don't agree with, and it does not work. I'm like, y'all just listen to me, or listen to what I'm saying, listen to our side. Things will get better. But then it clicks. Well, they're saying the same thing. Why would they drop what they believe for me? Because I'm not dropping what I believe for them. But if we come together with our beliefs, maybe we can understand each other and why we believe what we freaking believe. Well, I'm going to post this, and I hope that whoever needed to hear it, well, I'm going to post this, and I hope whoever needed to hear this hears this. I hope that this tangent makes sense, because it is a tangent. But there are so many other people in the world who are very sincere and who really want to understand what's going on. And I get a lot of messages from people that are those people, and they feel afraid just to say what they believe, because they might have friends and family on either side, and they feel like they're going against or portraying the other side. I hope you guys start speaking up and speaking out. Because I feel like a lot of people who really want the best for the country are too afraid to talk. And you have to talk. Now is the time. 2021, if we don't get things, if more people don't start coming out and talking this year, I don't even know. I'm not going to speak any negativity on the year, because I'm going to just stay. I'm honestly cynical and optimistic at the same time. I'm a cynical optimist, then that might be a contradiction, probably is, but it helps me level out reality, to expect much, but then be like, yeah, let's go at a realistic goal. But I just hope that more people start speaking out, and that the polarizing sides realize, okay, what we're doing isn't working. You just get fed up with your hate. You just feel fed up. Sadly, I think it's not going to happen right now. I think people are going to keep going, but at a time, people are going to get so drained and tired that I really think they're going to be like, okay, let's try something different. All right, I hope. And I hope you stuck around for this entire video. If you are looking for comfortable content, I'd unsubscribe right now. If you're not, stay subscribed and stay tuned, and more on the way, and stay safe.